It started as an ordinary hiking trip. A group of 5 friends, eager for adventure, decided to explore the vast wilderness of Glacier National Park. The sky was clear, the air crisp, and the forest alive with the sounds of nature. They had no idea that one of them would never return. Jake was the one who suggested the trip. A seasoned hiker, he had spent countless weekends conquering the trails, always pushing further into the wild. His enthusiasm was contagious, and soon, his friends, Mark, Sarah, Emily, and Todd, were just as eager to escape the monotony of their daily lives. The first 2 days were perfect. They hiked deep into the forest, laughing, sharing stories, and setting up camp in breathtaking spots. But on the 3rd night, everything changed. It started with the whispers. Sarah was the first to notice. As she lay in her tent, the faint murmur of voices drifted through the trees. At first, she thought it was the wind, but the voices were distinct, whispered words she couldn't understand. She sat up, heart pounding. "Guys, do you hear that?" Mark groaned. "It's just the wind, go to sleep." But then Emily spoke up. "No, I hear it too." The whispers grew louder, circling their campsite, coming from all directions. And then, as suddenly as they began, they stopped. The group barely slept that night. When morning came, they brushed it off as paranoia. But something had shifted. The forest, once welcoming, now felt wrong. The birds were silent, the air was heavy, and there was an eerie stillness that made their skin crawl. By midday, Todd was gone. One moment, he was walking ahead on the trail, just a few feet in front of them. The next, he had vanished. No sound, no struggle, just gone. They searched for hours, calling his name until their voices were hoarse. But the forest swallowed their cries. No footprints, no broken branches, nothing to suggest where he had gone. Then they found his backpack. It was sitting neatly on a rock, as if placed there deliberately. But Todd was nowhere in sight. Panic set in. Mark wanted to go back, but Jake refused. "We can't leave him out here. We have to find him." They pressed on, deeper into the woods, their unease growing with every step. The trees seemed to close in around them, the shadows stretching unnaturally long. And then, the whispers returned. This time, they were closer. Sarah grabbed Jake's arm. "Something is following us." Jake tried to stay rational. "It's just our imagination." But deep down, he knew better. As night fell, they set up camp again, too exhausted to continue. But none of them could sleep. The whispers never stopped. They circled the camp like a predator stalking its prey. And then came the laughter, high-pitched, unnatural, echoing through the trees. Then Emily screamed. They turned just in time to see her being dragged into the darkness, her nails clawing at the ground, her eyes wide with terror. And then, silence. Jake and Mark ran after her, but she was gone. There were no tracks, no signs of a struggle, just the lingering echo of her scream. Now it was just the 3 of them. Desperation set in. They had to get out. They had to find help. But the forest wouldn't let them. Every direction they turned, the path shifted. Landmarks disappeared. It was as if the forest itself was moving, trapping them in its endless maze. They ran, their breaths ragged, their hearts pounding. But the whispers followed. The laughter grew louder. Then Mark fell. Jake turned to help him, but Mark's face twisted in horror. "No, don't touch me." Jake froze. Mark's eyes were wide, staring past him. "They're right behind you." Jake turned, but there was nothing, just the trees and shadows. When he looked back, Mark was gone. Sarah grabbed his hand, tears streaming down her face. "We're going to die here." "No," Jake said, forcing himself to stay calm. "We keep moving." The door creaked open. Jake turned, his flashlight shaking. A figure stood in the doorway, a tall, gaunt man with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. "You shouldn't have come here," he whispered. Then the light went out. The next morning, search teams found nothing. No sign of Jake, Sarah, Todd, Emily, or Mark. No footprints, no campsite, no evidence they had ever been there. Just an old, abandoned cabin deep in the woods. And inside, a new photograph had been added to the wall. 2 more faces, frozen in terror. If you enjoyed this terrifying story, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more horror stories that will send chills down your spine. Don't forget to like and share with fellow